All right, we're live. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. This is the Greater Reach Project. I've got Tom Cassidy on the line tonight. And tonight, basically, we talked a little bit about this on Friday for those of you that were paying attention. Tom and I are in the process of developing a creative plane business that we feel like exists exclusively on the creative plane. And it's not something that's really been done a lot or even at all from our perspective. So we're attempting to make that happen and make it an example for other businesses that want to follow suit. And again, from my perspective, a creative plane business literally generates more greater life for all, including the people involved. But it's something that is a fundamental tenet of what we're looking to do with our life's work, which is create greater life for all. And so, from that effort, to follow up from last week, Tom talked a little bit about his vision for a unique SEO company called Greater Reach, which identifies is a non-business with non-employees and non-clients, but that identifies businesses that are doing that we appreciate, that are doing a good job, and helps them achieve maximum SEO and gives them a finished product before ever asking for their business, so to speak. And so this is kind of a follow-up on that, where we're just going to have kind of like a little, basically what we would talk about on a normal Sunday night, just kind of business, our ideas and conceptions, but broadcast it. And now whether or not anyone watches or cares, at least there will be an archive for our own purposes to go back and pay attention to, 3 months, 6 months from now, 30 years from now, and all that good stuff, and kind of see what was in our heads, see where we were at, and kind of see how some of this stuff has become demonstrated, and is it close to what we were thinking? Is it better? And so from that effort, yeah, we're just here to have a little chat. Tom, thank you for staying up late, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really great. I had a greater challenge for all earlier on. I was recording the Hangout for the Team 10K project, and I didn't realize, and Cindy, my wife, didn't realize either, she had also decided to upload all her photos from the last 100 years to a central server, and happened to select my network by mistake rather than the family network. So I'm trying to do this launch for the Team 10K project, week 2, the objectives, and Mark was saying, I'm really not getting the audio, I'm not hearing the audio, and I was going, don't worry about that, I'm sure it'll be recorded fine. Sometimes they, and then I watched it, and I did 3 Hangouts, a couple of just quick ones and then the long one, and it was like, you just can't hear a thing that I'm saying, and it's, right, okay. So my evening's going great. I just had to redo a couple of things, that's all. But that's the beautiful thing about technology. Even though it's live, and you think this whole technology we're using, Google Hangouts, is live, you can actually then delete a live broadcast and then just do another one. And you know what? And no one will care. In about 10 minutes, about 10 minutes after you finished it, no one will care. That's the good thing about this, is available for, this idea of creating a digital archive of everything we do is really great. But let's be honest, this will be me and Sam and some bloke with his dog actually watching this, maybe live, And I heard something. They were talking. I tend to read a little about what's going on, but only the stuff that is kind of the projections and technology and where people think we're going and ideas and that sort of stuff. And I was reading something either yesterday or today when they're talking about the onset of automation making the physical labor that a human can do relatively redundant. The idea that 100 years ago, pretty much all factories had humans doing all the assembly line jobs. Humans have been largely replaced in the industrialized process. Humans weren't required to distill sulfuric acid and things like that anymore. That was done on an industrial scale. But the automation and the assembly line in the manufacturing business was kind of all humans. But now there's hardly any humans involved in factories, and in 50 years' time there won't be any. And this guy was saying, in 50 years' time, each factory will have 2 employees, 1 man and 1 dog, right? And the man's job is to feed the dog,
Uh,
and the dog's job is to stop the man touching the equipment. Which I thought it was lovely. But the idea is, I guess, that what we're talking about in terms of this technology, it's lovely for us to be able to have our discussions, and it's not a complete meeting, because in a genuine meeting would probably be a little bit more direct. So we're perhaps taking our time to make sure we're explaining things fully, so that when we go back, we don't have to guess what we were talking about. We kind of know. And I'm going to put some power in, because I just realized that I am.
Yeah, you take care of that, and that's totally true. This is definitely more just kind of off-the-cuff stuff, but I think that setting it up is a nice thing to do, because it will be relevant at some point when we go back to kind of look at stuff. I don't know if you guys ever do this. Tom, you keep like notes, like a journal, right?
Yeah,
man. Yeah. I've
hundreds
done.
of them.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I find in common with a lot of people who are
legends.
Yeah, literally. And so I've done it for years and years and years and years, and just scribbles all over the place. And I have like an archive in one of my folders, and it's just like this, just shoveled, slightly by date archive of stuff. And I don't know if you ever do this, but it's a real kick to go back like about a year or so and just look at what you were writing about, because literally like 9/10 of the problems or whatever just didn't ever come to anything, or there'll always be those little gems that I re-find. In fact, one of my biggest pet peeves is finding a gem of genius in a folder that I have to remember. It's like, wait a minute, I've already had this idea. Yeah. I polished it nicely and put it on the shelf over here, and now I'm just finding it again. But it's real fascinating to have that ability to go back, and I would encourage anybody to do some sort of archiving, whether it's writing, whether it's doing it live, whether it's doing talks. But for these purposes, I think it'll be cool to have a video archive, because one of the aspects of Living Out Loud for this next 2 quarters and through the rest of this year is just to see how much metaphysical mayhem we can create. And by that, I mean, let's speak some stuff into existence and then see where it ends up, because we have a fundamental tenet to kind of a fundamental belief system that says that these thoughts are absolutely things, and that everything that you see around you was created by thought. And so it's almost like a kind of the Reasonable Wealth Project is a scientific experiment. This too is very scientific, because I think it's important to marry those two. You know, you've got the what can be considered kind of way Eastern philosophy of kind of it gets kind of esoteric, which is kind of very left-brained, and then you have right-brained, and you have the very left-brained of the scientific measurement of things, and actually being able to make inductive conclusions from like X plus Y equals Z. I think it's really fascinating. It's one of the things that I know, Tom, you're big on too, with reasonable eating and all that kind of stuff. So this is just one of those opportunities for us to begin to put stuff down in hard form and kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, just my library in my office is at least 50% my own writing. And I just picked up this book, just a random one. Now, I buy these books.
Wow, that's a really nice one. Mine are like cheesy little generic folders.
This is like a really hard, kind of almost plastic hardback book, but it's on a ring binder. And the good thing about the ring binder is then you can go the same direction all the way through if you want to. So you can go like that, and then when you're writing on this side, you can just go like that. And it's just nice. You know, don't ever have to write over a page or something like that. This is brilliant. And guess what? Guess what I opened up? So this book, you probably can't see this very clearly, but it says book 18, May 2013.
Ah.
I put my email address on it.
In case you lose it.
This is interesting because May 2013 was just about the time when you reached out to me through the Science of Getting Rich course, wasn't it?
Right around then. I think it was a little bit after that, but yeah, right around then.
It was sometime around about May, maybe May, June, something like that. Anyway, this is interesting. So, look what's right on the bottom of the first page. Can you see that? Can you read that?
I can't tell what it. Oh wait, it says. Love. Well, it says it's working. Look, it looks like it's working. Look like it's working. That's what it says.
It says look like it's working. So this is something that really came clear to me at that point. In fact, I think I was away at a weekend. I think I was at a Richard Wilkins weekend,
Oh, nice.
and it was a two-day event, and it was all about being, a brilliant inspirational speaker and that sort of stuff. And Richard, the guy's incredible because he's just so relaxed, and he's just so different. Just when you think you're getting there, just when you think you've got something, you go and chat with him, and he's just at a completely different level. And what's interesting is that he was saying, I wrote this down as a result of us sort of thinking that if you want to get anybody to listen to you, you got to look like it's working, right?
Yeah.
And then from that, this is before I came up with reasonable eating, right?
Really?
Reasonable eating wasn't written at the point at this time last year, but you can see in this book, probably, look at all this stuff. All my scribbles. This was where it was all starting to come together, technology and ideas, and it's just scribbles, and it's brilliant. Now, what I notice is that when my book is boring, I realize my life was boring because I'm just using it to take notes from meetings and stuff like that. But when I go, whoa, this is good, and it totally correlates with some really cool stuff that's going on. Now, I bet. Oh, here we go. See what this is?
Oh yeah, that's the YouTube. Nice.
That's the YouTube. So there you go. So this is all this stuff was yeah, it's all coming. It's all there. Now, so so what we're doing with this is we're making it super easy to be able to go and see what we were like when we were doing our crazy stuff. And it's going to be fun for our, for us looking back, but also for children and all that sort of stuff. And for people who want to follow the path, they say, well, this is what we said would happen. And actually, what I'm finding, I don't know what you're finding, Sam, but what I'm finding is that we're not even close when we start saying what will happen. We're not even close to how incredible it is. Like about, what did we say about maybe September? When we started saying, well, let's kind of work on some stuff together, it was basically, yeah, it'd be great to release an ebook.
Yeah.
For reasonable eating. I said, I mean, I did have, to be fair, I did have the whole thing. I don't know whether it's in this book, but I think I had the whole thing mapped out, didn't I? For oh yeah, reasonability comes in at the end of this book for the first time ever. That's quite interesting.
The amount of writing on those pages as opposed to some of the earlier ones.
Yeah, so this is all reasonability, and that's what it was, and yeah, okay. So right at the end of this, I think I started getting onto, I started talking about the eating, reasonable eating, and it just started coming in there. But I pitched you, didn't I, with the idea, look, we're basically trying to change the health, the wealth, and the relationships of the world. Through the reasonability series, but let's focus on eating because it would be a nice place to start because people have to eat, and if you can get them to change their shape a little bit and change their mindfulness as a result of something that they have to do every day, it's going to be many opportunities to get reminded, and it's a shortcut to awareness, really, doing it through eating. But we were so okay. Quite lofty to change the health, wealth, and relationships of the world, but it was like we're going to do a series of books, weren't we? And then it's just like we're just stupidly advanced from that.
Yeah, I want to jump in right there because this is one of the things that I've noticed about when this stuff starts to really it's always working, whether you're using it or you're conscious of it or not. But when you start consciously using it, it really starts working. Typically, what shows up is going to be ridiculously better than you could possibly ever imagine. That's what I am experiencing because I had some little ideas to I was inspired to before I met Tom in the January 2012 to create an app that goes to 100 million people, and I thought that was going to be a game. I really thought I was like, all right, F it, I'm going to create a next Angry Birds or something like that. And it's just going to go was going to go hog wild and just kind of do that. So it's been a really interesting route to finding this. And one interesting part, I've talked a little bit with Tom about this, not much. I met about a month before I met Tom, I met a guy online who like stole about $1,500 from me. You know, was like, hey, let's do this, let's do that, wire me money, all this kind of stuff, and just like totally disappeared. It was like a 3-day business relationship, and I got screwed. And that's not a ton of money, but that was a big part of my budget for creating my game. And so it was a leap of faith whenever we started getting, because my script was going crazy. I didn't know about my script right then. It was like, you don't know this dude, you don't know, you never know this isn't going to work out, blah blah blah. And it's really fascinating too, because the reasonable eating was the very first thing that we started talking about, and it was like, I think it was November 11th, Tom. We're like, all right, it was like a month or so after we first started going. It's like November 11th, book launches. And we'll have a website, and we'll have like an email list, and we'll have this kind of the other. And I look now at what's going on just through, it's ridiculous. It is magnificently better than we could have both ever hoped to imagine. I think you might have had an idea. I certainly didn't have a big idea.
Yeah, it's much bigger than I thought.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's funny too, and I'll go ahead and pull the wool off of the, whatever the heck the saying is, but the eating thing was all just a Trojan horse. And I don't mean to blow your cover here, Tom, but the reasonable eating's, my understanding of its main goal was to raise people's awareness. And once that happens, that's like the big part of this whole idea of designing your life to order, literally designing your life exactly the way that you would possibly dream it. I mean, you got to have a vision. That's certainly step one. But before you can really bring that vision into reality, you have to have awareness. Because if you don't have awareness, you're on autopilot a lot of times. And unless you can get your awareness to the level where you're not on autopilot, if you are consciously aware of your thoughts more than 51% of the time, then you're going to manifest your brains out, literally. And so reasonable eating was kind of one of these ways where if you follow it, it is crazy the awareness you receive from it. Because, for example, coming from my perspective, eating slowly is a very difficult thing for me to do. It's very easy, but very hard to do. So Tom, was that really one of the main points? I mean, obviously the byproduct is people get amazingly healthy.
Yeah.
And they become more natural themselves. But is that something you constantly thought about as a reason for injecting reasonable eating into kind of the first rollout?
Well, I mean, you sort of nailed it really completely. You've got to go with what people want, what they think they want, and have a connection. You've got to have a connection with people.
Right.
So you've got to say, well, okay, what people want. People want to make more money, be more successful, be thinner, have better shape, all these sorts of things. Okay, what is the most tangible one that you can most easily demonstrate? Well, it comes back to what I was saying a minute ago, look like it's working. The easiest way to look like it's working is with the energy that you're projecting and the shape that you are, your vitality, if anything, your zest.
Yeah.
Now, you could do that through fitness, or you could do it through, fitness, exercise, maybe even yoga, maybe mindfulness straight away. You could probably do that. But I figured it's a bit like the low-hanging fruit. If you can get people if you can use mindfulness as a tool to get, if you use eating as a tool to get people mindful, it's something they're going to do or want to do 10, 20, 30 times a day, eat something. And so you've got so many triggers. So if you can get people good at becoming mindful in relation to what they eat and what they don't eat, and when to stop eating, when to start eating, and when to notice, all you're doing is just massively short-circuiting the road to awareness. You're minimizing it's the shortest line. It's the minimum will system. It's the principle of least action. What is the most direct and regular and repetitive and consistent and bulletproof way to get people to notice shit? Well, link it to something that you either link it to breathing, which is kind of what meditation does, right?
Yeah, literally.
Or you link it to eating. Why did I choose eating. Well, breathing is something that you are doing so often. There's that great line in the Blues Brothers movie. You know, how often do the trains go by? So often you won't even notice them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Breathing happens so often you don't even notice it. So you have to actually deliberately force yourself to have time to sit and then notice your breathing.
Yeah.
So actually, meditation through breathing is not great. I mean, it's good in itself, but it's not as useful a tool. Eating, you cannot not eat. And you will have to be not eating at certain times and then be eating at other times during the day. There is a much bigger difference. It's like, this is breathing. This is eating, not eating, not eating, eating, not eating, eating, not eating. So it's like a digital thing. It comes on and off all the time. Something that comes on and off all the time it disturbs your environment on a psychological level. You know, if you put white noise on at a certain volume or something like that, you will sleep really well. If you have music on at the same volume with no gaps, you'll sleep really well. As soon as a gap happens, all the music gets really loud or something like that, it's the change in environment that you notice. So what you want is to interrupt people's consistency of their environment. So eating is perfect for that. And you will do it. You say, oh, that looks good. Oh, yeah. Oh, I feel hungry. Am I really hungry? Maybe I'm thirsty. So what you're doing is you're leveraging something that happens many times a day, is quite different. Not eating, eating, not eating, eating. It's quite different. So it's quite an impactful thing at various times of the day. It's just a beautiful way to bring awareness into people's lives. And the side effect of that is that you are going to have more energy, you'll sleep better, you'll have a better relationship because you won't be snoring, all that good stuff as well. And I guess if you're then trying to influence anybody else in the future, people will listen to you if they know, shh, what the hell are you doing? You've lost 3 stone or whatever. So you've immediately got a road in to all this kind of dodgy esoteric shit. They basically, you know, you've created, it's almost like you've got breadcrumbs down for them and they're sort of following it. Yeah, here you come, here you come, here you come. And it's like, as soon as they, oh my goodness, what are you doing? Are you working out? So no, I'm not working out. I mean, first 6 months of the program, I would do 20 press-ups every few days, like this. Press-ups like this sort of press-ups, you know, one. Or on my knees. You can't really see this, but I'll be doing, because I wasn't fit enough, and I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to do it through exercise. I'll do a little bit because I don't want to. I'm testing a reasonable shape program, my vertical desk. I do all this sort of stuff.
Hey man, you still there? Let's see. So Tom's thing is hanging a little bit. I don't know if he's downloading movies or at the same time or what, or if it's on my end. But until then, I will do some tap dancing. Not really, but basically, I think that's a really cool lead-in into raising people's awareness. And it's true. Sometimes, you know, I get this a lot. It's like, how do you help somebody? Let's say you have a family member that you really know that what you've been practicing and some of the stuff that you've been doing is really benefiting your life a lot. Well, you see somebody that you want to help. How do you help them? The only true way, the best way to help somebody else is to help yourself. Raise yourself above the confusion of life by taking control of your conditions and your environment through your mind. And then people will come to you and ask you, well, how'd you do this? And that's the real ask. And it's the other kind of thing is like people in the Reasonable Coaching group and these anyone who else is watching this who is an influencer, it's tempting to take this knowledge, this bedrock of truth that you know you stand on, and just go out and start talking to people. Hey, you should be doing this. I see you doing this. I know this is not the best behavior that you can do, and you should do this. But what that comes off is that's a very preachy energy, and nobody likes to be preached to or talked to like they don't know what they're doing. It can be repulsive, and it's the antithesis of what you want to accomplish with your influence. What you want to accomplish is just by being the best person you can be, and not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. that people see that, and they either think to themselves, I can do that too, or they come to you and ask you. And that's kind of my governor, my control valve, if you will, for when I work with people. I don't even like to say work with people because I'm not a coach. I don't know any of this stuff. I just happen to be extremely plugged into what I think is truth with a capital T. You know, you've got the some of the Brian Sykes and these guys out here who professionally coach high-level individuals. But I think one thing that you'll find is that if someone approaches you and asks you, hey man, I noticed that you look really great. You used to be a little bit slightly overweight and now you look great. That is an open door to talk about whether it's reasonable eating or whatever it may be, but it's also a great way to, the old adage, you can lead a horse to water but you can't make him drink. But once that horse gets thirsty and starts drinking, then you can turn the floodgates on. Then you can begin to drip to them information about, like, hey, have you ever considered that maybe every single thing in your life is because of the way you've been thinking up till now? Is it possible that every single, that today, right now, is the result of every single one of your past thoughts? Is that possible? And is it possible then that every day after this moment will be the culmination of exactly what you're thinking now? That in fact, if you held a mirror up to your thoughts and held a mirror up to your conditions, that they would be exactly the same. You know, you don't have to get too crazy with folks, but I've found it. This happened a couple times at work because I happen to be a reasonably excited guy, and it's the kind of thing where it's a magnetic energy, and I find that a couple people at work have been like, so what's your deal? Why are you so fired up? And how can I be that way, basically? And so it gives me an open door to have a conversation with them about mindfulness, because I truly believe that awareness, you have to get your awareness to a level where you're thinking about your vision, or you're thinking about what you want more than what you don't want. And once you accomplish that, the world that you wake up to is radically different than the one you thought you lived in. Because until I really realized how important awareness was in my life, I just kind of I'd read a motivational book and get all fired up and then just kind of go back to cruise control. And I'd read a motivational book and I'd get all fired up and then go back to cruise control. And it just kind of seemed to happen that way a lot. I never felt like I was making much progress externally. And for me, the real linchpin was meeting Tom and applying the big three in my life. But you have to really see those as synergistic events. You know, the big three being the sausage machine analogy. You know, what are you putting in? The concept of the script, which is hugely powerful, is a big one for me because I spent a lot of time beating myself up. And then, of course, what would you choose, which kind of goes tandem with the sausage machine. But those three right there, even just practicing what would I choose on a daily basis, 3 or 4 times a day, is like strength training. It may be difficult at first to raise your awareness, but after some practice and after doing it diligently for a little while, it becomes second nature. And the very act of what would I choose poses yourself a question which gives you awareness of the situation and what you would really choose. And so it's like a little awareness trick that you can help raise your awareness to the point, because once you get your awareness to a level to where every single day you're steering in the direction you want to go, and you're actively acting upon the inspiration that is flowing, because once you begin to move in the direction of your path, what you'll find is that you're actually being pulled in the direction of your path. It's a very interesting thing. Brian Sykes talks about this a lot, but there's a difference between being pushed and a difference from being pulled. And what you'll notice that when you start moving in the direction of your ultimate life's purpose, some people call that your destiny, but I really think it's like every single human being is designed to desire, to want to reach their potential. And it's only our belief in the fact that we can't or it's impossible that keeps us separated from that. But once you start beginning to take even just a millimeter baby step, even just thinking about that direction, you'll begin to notice that the universe is pulling you in that direction. And that happens in a lot of ways. It not only happens where you're constantly thinking about it, but it happens in ways where situations will start working to your advantage that had no business working to your advantage. People will come into your life that you would have you never would have imagined talking to previously. For example, like my boy Brian Sykes. Here's a guy who is a high-level individual. This guy operates in the stratosphere of what I consider successful. And yet I'm in business with him on a couple projects just through this group right here. It's a great example of an individual that I never would have even remotely come across. But these things begin to happen more and more as you move into your path. And so it looks like we've lost Tom, so you know what that means. That gives me free rein to go buck wild here. So the title of this hangout, and I guess we should be somewhat semantic with the hangout because we want to provide a little bit of good information in that. So greater reach, explorations into creative plane business. We want to create a business fully on the creative plane. There's no documents of foundation. There's no binding elements. There's only massive value provided to the individuals that are being serviced by the business. And I think that this is something that we're going to see a lot more of coming out of this group because we're all operating from the creative plane. We all understand that by bringing greater life to all, not only will I fulfill my wildest dreams, but I will help the world come closer towards completion, which is every single person fulfilling their wildest dreams. And if your script's going crazy right now and saying that's impossible, I can't be king of the world if this person's king of the world, but it can actually be very, very congruent. So creating a business fully on the creative plane involves, say, it's like what Waddles talks about. I can't quote the exact passage, but he talks about when you're operating on the creative plane, it allows you to scan your businesses and identify what elements of that are not. And you can jettison those. You can get rid of them. If there's ever a place in your business where you're getting one over on people, and even if that's your most profitable asset of your business, you can comfortably let that go because that's going to go away anyways because the universe only rewards what keeps in line with it. And so it allows you to consciously scan your business and understand is every aspect of this business keeping with greater life for all. And if it is, awesome, let's do more of that. If it isn't, no good, let's start over, let's try that again. Looks like we have Tom back. Tom, you're lucky you came back because I was just about to go on like a 3-hour soliloquy.
Great. It was quite interesting because I saw you disappear and I thought, oh, Sam's having trouble. So I carried on.
Oh, no way, because I saw you disappear, and I did
about another 15 minutes on my own.
Wow.
And then, or 10 minutes or whatever it was, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to go and I'll close this call now. I'm saying, yeah, I don't know what happened. I'll close this call. And then what happened was quite weird because I refreshed the page, nothing. And I thought, oh, it's my connection has gone. So then I went to the other Wi-Fi,
yeah,
the family one, and you're still going. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. So I'm guessing it didn't record all that amazing stuff that I was saying.
Probably revealed the secret of the universe in those minutes, and the only thing people will remember is my mug talking about some random ridiculousness, which I do. But I was I went into a little bit of stuff, but I was just beginning to get into the purpose of the call, which was talking about greater reach and talking about establishing a business that's really on the creative plane. And I guess I'll just throw that out there to you, Tom. Is it possible?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should, because I just spent 10 minutes on this. This is exactly what I was talking about.
Awesome.
So what I was saying is that, yeah, totally it's possible. What you do is Greater Life for All is just regenerative, basically. So you're saying, how can I give value that is regenerative, and it's kind of like a triple win. It's a win for me, it's a win for the other company, and it's a win for everyone. And everybody includes everyone in the future as well. So the question that you were just talking about there, is that this is the acid test. The ultimate question is, how is this bringing greater life for all? If the answer is, yeah, it is, because of this, this, and this, because it brings not only greater life for all the parties involved in the local transaction, but it also includes greater life for all the parties involved globally, as in all humans, and all species and all ecology and everything. It still can involve killing individual animals. For example, if you sort of want to be a farmer and you want to grow pigs. There's nothing wrong with doing that. We're not saying that we're never going to kill anything or anything like that. But what we're saying, really simply, is that if you if you have a business which involves killing animals, it has to do so in a way that brings greater life to the whole species. So it has to allow the animals to grow in such a way that they are growing and flourishing. And that's a big thing to separate. You don't have to be vegetarian to bring greater life to all. You know, who decides that plants are less alive than animals anyway?
Good point.
Right? Well, people say, well, yeah, but it's obvious because of the sentience and sort of, well, is it? Okay, what about, does a complicated tree or a complicated plant have less ability to feel than, say, an amoeba? You know, or, you know, what is really the nervous system of, how developed is the nervous system of a slug? I don't know, compared to sunflower, which follows the sun. You know, so anyway, the point is, I don't believe there is a distinction really between, it's all life, and I think that you can eat animals and I think you can eat plants, provided you do things in a way that brings greater life to the whole species. You don't have to eat animals, you don't even have to eat plants, but the point is, you're not diminishing the idea of bringing greater life to all by deciding to eat animals, provided you do it in the right way, you know, fully free to roam around and live and all that sort of stuff. And we pay like $25 for an organic chicken, $25, right? But it's a chicken that you could tell ran around, you can tell it didn't eat crap, you can tell it had a pretty good life. I'm assuming it was killed cleanly and properly. I can't tell that from eating it, but you can go to Tesco, our supermarket, and for £3.99, so about $5, $6, you can buy a fully roasted and cooked chicken. Probably didn't have the same quality of life. So the chicken species, and you might say, oh yeah, but there's plenty of chickens, there's more chickens, and the chicken population is growing. That doesn't mean it's just because the chicken population is growing, doesn't mean that it's bringing greater life to all. It might be at the expense of everything else. So, you know, there's a huge amount of discernment in this. So the question is, let's get to the nitty-gritty of a business. And I gave the Gumroad story as an example. We decided that in this business that we operate in right now, the business that we operate in right now is actually to make people reach more people and to influence more people and to create a I guess to create a business out of communicating their content to people in some way. Okay, so what we assumed then was that one of the systems that we use, other people want to use. So if I've found something that's quite good, like the Gumroad system, which is a great system for enabling, Gumroad is brilliant for enabling people to begin an interaction with people. It's a really beautiful initial first contact kind of sign-up page for something. I think it's fantastic. So we want other people to use it. So I want 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 people who are creating courses, whether they're part of Team 10K, whether they're part of just the general architects of the future of humanity, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But we want them to be using this. So the question is, how are we going to teach them easily how to use it? I know, we'll record videos. We will record tons of 1-minute screen capture videos showing these people how to do all the things in Gumroad. So how to create an account, how to set up your payment details, how to put your credit card information in there, how to create a product, how to analyze your results, how to communicate with your customers. We're going to do a ton of 1-minute videos training people, our people, how to use this service, this Gumroad service. Right, so that's the win for us. We are using technology to create a training system. We can create these videos once, and guess what? We don't have to over and over again tell people how to do stuff. So brilliant. The next thing we do, if we do them using Google Hangouts, like this one, with a clever title, we will not only direct our architects to where the relevant training is, you know, so if we say something like the best e-commerce solution for coaches, Gumroad, and then dash creating a product, or dash Gumroad's analytics, or dash whatever it is, putting in your PayPal details or whatever. What we've done is we've explained to our architects what the video will cover, We've explained why it's good, but guess what we've done? In terms of search engine optimization, we've also got the term, the best e-commerce solution for authors, for coaches, for writers, for filmmakers, for whatever we've chosen. We've got that by using the Google Hangout SEO leverage technology. We've got that to rank really highly for that search term. Now, not only have we created a whole series of training videos to save us time, not only have we made it a lot easier for our architects to learn things. They can learn at their own pace. They can learn without having to bother anybody else. They can learn in 1 minute size discrete modules, so it's perfect for training as well. We've also created a beast for Gumroad, which is we've created the ability for Gumroad to be #1 for pretty much any search term we choose as the Google Hangout. You know, proof. Should we do some proof? Can I do screen share?
You should be able to.
Okay. Let's see if I can do this.
Yep.
So if I go best e-commerce solution for coaching programs. Okay, let's just go for coaches. Okay. Well, I never. What a surprise. The first video, the best e-commerce solution for coaches and coaching, is the video I did about Gumroad. Okay, so this is the best e-commerce solution for coaches, coaching programs. Okay, nice. You get the idea. But the point is, that is a brilliant resource because it explains Gumroad and pay what you want that we can use. Gumroad are going to love that because they're going, whoa, we're showing up #1 out of 29 million for the best e-commerce solution for coaches. What about for maybe authors or anything like that? Oh, there you go. Authors and writers. Okay, what about for writers? Huh, interesting. What about for, how about creative types? I know they like creatives, I'll just call them. Huh, interesting. 18 million results were the top 2 videos there. Now, I don't know about you, Sam, but I'm looking at that and I'm seeing a bunch of ads, one kind of random thing, which is first useful and creative, so it's not that, and then I'm seeing 2 videos.
Yeah.
305 and 239. I can see they're short videos, so I'm probably going to have a look at this, right?
Yeah. What's really I was just going to interject really quick. Those the top 3, those are PPC right there. So people are actually paying money to show up first, and this is why PPC exists, is because organic search is so difficult. So those people are paying for every time someone clicks on those top 3, and yet in about 2 or 3 days, there's the top 2 videos for it coming right up the top of the organic selection. That's ridiculous.
So what we've done here is 3.5 million results, and we've been working. Unfortunately, we can't hide how long we've been working this because it says 4 days ago, uploaded by Greater Reach. 4 days ago. So I started on this project 4 days ago, and 3 days ago I did coaches, and I think I did and coaching programs, maybe coaches and coaching. 3 days ago. 2 days ago I did, I know what else would be quite cool, maybe maybe pay what you want. Okay, so no, not a little bit further down. Right, that's a fail, isn't it? Best e-commerce. It's still page 1. I think it is because I did for coaches, and I'm using. Say if I wanted to use using pay what you want, okay. So for authors using pay what you want, whatever. So then I thought, well, okay, we probably want to do authors and writers. So then you've got authors and writers, or writers, whatever. Oof, there we are. And if you look on videos for any of these, obviously we've got as many videos as I've done right at the top, because of the power. So it's only 2 days ago. Yesterday I didn't do anything. I had a night off. But the point is, we've done 6 videos or something like that. Best e-commerce solution for creative. I'll just put creative. And if you look at the videos, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it's like, this is crazy stuff, really. You can't do that. You can't find anyone on the web that will tell you that that is possible. They won't, you know, they will tell you, these SEO experts will tell you something else. They'll just say, oh, well, it's going to take you 3 months to rank, you know, or 6 months, or as Sam says, his company, like 18 months to get, and it's not even guaranteed. They can't even guarantee it.
They cannot promise you page 1. They can't promise you page 1. There's no SEO company of respect that will promise that, because it's very difficult to deliver.
So what happens is that Google's search algorithm that came out in August last year, the new one, Hummingbird, is a semantic search term. So search algorithm user. So it doesn't just take what are called the head search terms like shoes or dentist or e-commerce. It doesn't take just the keywords. It used to be that as long as you had the keywords in, because that's how we search. We search by keywords. We don't search by a question we would like to ask. Well, really, Google wants us to search with a question, and then it will kind of use its semantic, which is its meaning-based algorithm, to work out, well, you use this combination of words together, you might really be trying to answer this question, so we'll try and provide you right away with the best results that actually answer this question. Yeah. And actually, they're trying to answer the question themselves. The future will be they actually provide the answer. So what we're doing by saying best e-commerce solution for authors and writers dash Gumroad and setting up a new product or something like that, we are providing exactly what Google wants. We're providing the value that they want to be able to give to people. There's a number of other reasons. Of course, they love their own products, so they love Google Hangouts because it's current. They love Google Video, which is YouTube, basically. They love the fact that it's a secure website. The insecure websites are going to be dropped from search in the future. It's not going to be long before that just goes. So everything's going to be HTTPS, whatever the secure thing is. So all these things are in our favor, but the fundamental thing is a more relevant search result, a more helpful search result, which actually gives an answer that's useful, does that bring greater life to all? Too right, it does. Does us choosing to optimize the company for these things bring greater life to us? Too right. If Gumroad does well, they bring in more features. It makes it more beneficial. They can, you know, irrespective of them deciding to give us a break or a good deal or enter into a business contract with us, it's good for us to be promoting the things that we want to use. Does this help all our architects? Too right, it does, because it makes it easy. Does it help me train people? Yeah, because I'm using video capture. I don't have to store the video. I don't have to upload the video. I don't have to prepare the video. I just go onto Gumroad's website. Oh, I'll just show a little bit about this. So everything wins. Everything's super easy. Then the big thing is, how much money do you think a company like Gumroad are going to pay you if you can deliver them consistently #1 slot for all the things that they're interested in? So you go to their website and say, what are you interested in? Well, we want to be the best place for creative types to actually sell their work directly to their audience. So in our whole Gumroad strategy, as we go along creating these videos, which we're going to use for us anyway, that are useful for us anyway, we're going to take the terms that they want to be known for, kind of not use those exactly, because most people won't be searching for exactly what they want to say. I mean, Gumroad say that they're best placed for creators to sell their content directly to their audience. Well, I don't think anyone will use that term, creator. You know, I don't think that really is a term that exists. So we've got to kind of work out, well, it might be creative artists or independent artists or creative types or independent musicians. It might be filmmakers, authors, writers, coaches, coaching programs, monthly coaching programs, all these sorts of things. So we will do an amazing job. Now, we'll do that for free, and we will then contact Gumroad, and we will say, hey guys, have a look. See what you're ranking #1 for, all these things. And they'll go, what the hell, man? How did you do that? Don't worry about how we did it. If you want us to carry on, Here's how you can do it. You can pay us $500 a month, $200 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever it is, whatever you want, whatever amount of work you want us to do for you. There's a way for us to accommodate it for you, and we get to pick who we work for. We only work for people that we want to promote to our people in some way anyway. We only work for people in a way that it means there's no duplication. We would have to do that anyway. So it's incredibly regenerative. We end up with a massive win. Our architects end up with a massive win. Gumroad end up with a massive win. Google have facilitated this because you're ending up getting what I think is a brilliant solution into the searcher's awareness. So it's like it kind of wins on every term.
Wow.
And even if Gumroad then say, well, you know what, we're not really interested in that. We've got our own marketing strategy. It's going just fine. We say, no problem. You're welcome. You're welcome to keep that. We're not going to undo all that work we've done. We won't go and just contact Gumroad's top 3 competitors and just do everything for them instead, even though we could do. We won't do that because it's in our interests in a regenerative, greater life for all way to stay on the creative plane. So we've basically, now I happen to think that you'd have to be completely nuts if you worked in the marketing department for Gumroad to not say, oh my God, this is amazing, yeah, show us how you did it, or can we pay you to carry on doing it, or something like that. Who wouldn't want that? But you never know, and so you could argue there's a bit of a risk. It's not a risk because we would do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why it's a greater life for all business.
Yeah, Tom, thank you for that. That was a really elaborate description of why this is greater life for all, and I think it really comes down to what you were talking about in 2 ways. Number one, it's a 360-degree, and not only just that in 2 dimensions, but in 3 dimensions, a whole sphere of win for every single person involved or every single entity involved. The business wins, Google wins, we win because we're creating content that's going to help other people that we're working with to get a higher ranking. And most importantly, the end user wins, who never even has heard of Tom Cassidy or any of the stuff going on. They're just looking for a silver bullet solution for what the problem that they have. And if you show me a 2.5-minute video that gives me that, I'm like, oh, I'm all over it, all over it. So yeah. I think that's really important. And the other aspect, the second really critical aspect, is that this is shit we're going to do anyways. Like, you couldn't get us to stop doing this, so we're just going to kind of do this anyways because it's providing value to all of the people that we're working with. Like, I can't describe to you how much I've learned from watching Tom do his thing. And I can't describe to you how much the first Team 10K individuals that have gone live, how much they've learned in just a week about marketing their business, their programs, their content by using this application of the principles that Tom has been using. And it's just incredibly valuable all the way around. So even if we did all this effort and went after somebody and they were just like, yeah, not really, it's fine. It's like, just like you said, we're not going to undo that. We're not going to go after their competitors. We're just going to keep moving on because generally, no, not even generally, always the universe supports things that continue greater life. And that term gets thrown around a ton, but literally that is the driving element of your being is fuller expression and expansion. And you can't not do that. You'll do that in anything. Tom had a great example of this today. You'll have kids that play Grand Theft Auto for 27 hours straight because they want to beat the game. That is innately their desire to expand themselves in a direction. Now, I would argue that is a completely flaccid, meaningless direction, but but it's one of those things where we're going to do this anyways, and it provides greater life for all always, and that makes it really easy. That you can very easily, for example, if we were trying to get over on Google, or we were trying to get over on the individuals that were looking to lead to a better life, then you could easily identify, okay, well, that's not greater life for this individual or this company. Then decide, all right, cool, don't have to do that, because again, the universe is going to put all of its resources into things that provide more expansion for everything. And those things that don't provide greater expansion for everything are moving away. And that's why a lot of times it can be difficult to look at the present state of the world and see a lot of scarcity and see a lot of pain and suffering and see a lot of that. All those things are moving away. They will not be here as the universe begins to do more of its thing. But they're perfect for their time. They're a necessary stage into along a path of completion, and that works in your own individual life too. Maybe there's things in your own life that aren't exactly the way that you want them, and there's some situations that you're dealing with that may not be the most ideal situations, but believe it or not, they're perfect for their time, and you couldn't become the person you're going to become without those situations. So it's really exciting to see this in action, because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot in terms of creating an organic business that really does operate in fully in the creative plane, and it's one of those things that we're going to live out loud and give it a shot.
Yeah.
Kind of what we're doing here.
On that point, Sam, it's really interesting because 3 months ago we knew that it had to exist. We knew that it had to happen. We knew that we were going to be able to redefine business in a new way. And I remember a conversation with the Greater Life for All, kind of the code of practice we were talking about, and Brian Sykes is a pioneer in the Greater Life for All movement. And he was saying he's just trying to create a model for business on the creative plane. And we were all a little bit stumped, but we knew it was out there. We knew it would be downloaded to us, and last week it was.
Yeah.
It was just completely downloaded. Now, there's a confluence of a few things. There was a marketing company that I knew of in London who did something kind of like lesser Life for All, but they used kind of a little bit of some of these ideas, the kind of reverse business, the having done it already. Now, their approach was they did the work already and then kind of a little bit held the company to ransom for it. Now, what we're doing is that we're doing the work already, and they say, well, we're not sure we really want to pay for it. Don't worry, you're welcome. Have it. Still use it. It's good. It's still valuable stuff. We benefited from it already. We've already benefited from it, and the reason is because we didn't use scamming or tricking or anything like that. We use pure value. The best value you can ever have is teaching somebody to do something who's searching to find out how to do something. That's the best value. So we're actually teaching, and this is the concept of Greater Reach. The company is like through teaching, you teach to reach, and I guess it's quite nice because I believe that the best spiritual leaders, the best statesmen, the most interesting people in the history of the world really have been the ones that not just had good ideas, but they actually set it up in a way, wrote about it or talked about it or did something about it in a way that they actually taught their ideas and taught their systems, and they went around talking about what they were doing. And I think that's what I really like. You know, let's actually put teaching up on a pedestal as being the most important thing you can do. Not teaching school or being in the education system, but actually teaching people ultimately to be more like you, if they want to, if they're ready for it. You know, and I guess in lots of ways you are always teaching people to be more like you. You know, just by your example, it might not be that it's something that they, you know, it might be that you're teaching them to be more like a twat because you're a twat. And I've certainly done that in the past, and at times we still do it. You know, we're perfect for how we are. We're only as honest as we can be right now, and we are perfect for our thinking now, but we're developing our thinking, we'll develop ourselves. But I think this whole idea is, you know, we're going to reach people using this technology because we're actually teaching something of tremendous value, and it just so happens that that fits in perfectly with what Google is trying to do. Not just content that's interesting, that's got cats on skateboards, you know, not just content that's salacious but not really bringing greater life for all. It's like content which is solving the hardest problem that people are actually looking to be solved when they do their searches. And
yeah,
if you do that, I don't think you can lose, really. I don't see how it can lose. The only thing is, people would say, oh yeah, but it's a bit speculative, you're doing. No, we would do it anyway because it would save my time to communicate how to use these products. Okay, you could argue that if we start getting big and start going after companies that we don't need to train people how to use, then you could say, well, it's a bit speculative. But we'd only ever go after companies we really liked. We'd only ever go after companies that we felt were already on the creative plane doing something cool. So if the worst case scenario is we don't make any money from it and we don't actually have any teaching value to our own network, I'm sure we're still bringing Greater Life for All, because we're doing it in a way that we're promoting. At the very least, we've got a case study of what we've done for a business that will be a tool that we can use to promote our techniques to other people, right? So it's like, if people say, okay, well, you've done this for us, it might be a fluke. Well, so actually, here's 20 companies over the last 2 years that we've worked for. This was their day 0 results. This is their day 30 results. Yeah, we kind of changed their world, didn't we?
Yeah, and not only that, just companies, but the individuals, because all of the architects who are going out there, just being the example and putting out a program, and they're going to be elevated as well, which is almost more important to me, because it's so awesome to see these individuals out there who are just going live with this stuff. Tom, they would never have done anything like this. Now, granted, the magic is in them, but sometimes it takes an outside influence to help fan that flame that's already there. And that's what you do, my friend, because a lot of these folks who are out there going live with these programs never would have done it without this that you have, this space that you have created for them to allow themselves to do that. And now that they have the confidence, it is wide open. I mean, it's so cool to see that, and it's going to be so cool to see that moving forward in the future. So not just the companies that get helped out, but the individuals who bring greater life to themselves and their own communities by doing this as well. So it's a really fascinating project, and if nothing else, it's going to be a scientific investigation into the creative plane business creation. We're going to really investigate every little granular morsel of why the Hangouts score so well. I mean, it's obvious they do, but we want to know why. Do certain things make more influence? And that's not only the kind of the geek in us, but also it's really relevant when you're doing any kind of study or project to have data that you can look back on and really kind of point to as a reason for those individuals that need more more data on that kind of stuff. And there's got to be so many business models out there that are fully on the creative plane. But to be honest with you, I don't see a whole lot of them out in the wild right now. And I want to see a world where there are more and more businesses on the creative plane, because when more and more people start operating on the creative plane, it's like Waddles talks about. When you operate on the creative plane, you put the ladder down for people to come up with you. And what that means is you bring the opportunity for other people to make the best of themselves. Even if it's just seeing you, like, look at this guy, look at this guy. This guy's on top of the mountain, he's got a great life, he's making a ton of money, but he's really happy, he's really centered. He is actually a really good example of what I want to be. That's a great ladder. That's what got most of us who want to be wealthy. The reason why we want to be wealthy is because we see these people who are wealthy, and we want that. What we don't realize is that a lot of the people that are currently wealthy and that have been wealthy in the past, ridiculously wealthy, have led miserable lives, just miserable lives, personal lives, battles with addiction and drugs, and certainly not everybody, but why not have it all? And so that desire for wealth, why not take that and manifest wealth in all aspects of your life, not just materially, emotionally, through your family, through the love that you give to your community, through all of this stuff. So there's plenty of it. There's got to be more examples of it, and we want to, maybe this is just the first of many ventures where we prove not only to everyone else, but those individuals that say it can't be done, what a creative plane business looks like. And the more of that goes, the more that's out there is absolutely the better for everybody. It literally is greater life for all.
Well, I think what we'll do is over time we'll put together a code of practice, or a sort of a code of operation maybe for a Greater Life for All business or a creative plane business. And some of the things I'm thinking of already is that you have to choose your own clients. Your clients can't choose you.
Yeah.
You have to do it without advertising. You have to basically have a business which doesn't really exist as a conventional business, because then you get swallowed up in all the legal, HR, and health and safety and tax and all that sort of stuff, and you have to have the ability for people to do whatever they want, and it's kind of like a weekly link. There's strong links in physics, and there's kind of weak links as well, and it has to be sort of weakly coupled. So it has to know what it's doing, and everybody knows how it all works. But like a swarm of ants, they know what's going on, but it's difficult to know how you would control it. It's like, what would happen if you wiped out half of the ants? Would the others just carry on exactly the same? If you got the queen ant, would the others know what to do? Would they all just like prostrate themselves on the ground and just kill themselves? No. So I mean, the intelligence is in the nodes all existing and operating independently, but following a basic code of a greater purpose, really. The greater purpose of the ant colony is to grow and expand and to make more ants, right? The greater purpose of the Greater Life for All business is to bring greater life for all, and in doing so, create more people who can bring greater life for all. So to expand itself. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm part of that. I'm up for that. That sounds, yeah, you got me.
Yeah, no doubt. And the culmination of all of this really is that we believe that we're a few dominoes away from creating a planet where every single person lives out their purpose, and those that don't, that's totally fine. It's not going to be the kind of thing where everybody has to make the best of themselves. But trust me, you want to, and if you don't, you're denying that part of yourself. But that's fine. We're not going to tell people they have to do a certain thing or live a certain way. But I believe that if even just a small percentage of the planet truly operated on the creative plane, it would provide enough resources for every single person to live a ridiculously abundant life. And that not only comes from it goes way deeper than that. But I think that the reason why we're all doing this is definitely, literally, just what it says: is to bring greater life for all. There's no gimmicky. There's no trying to get over on people. If this didn't, and honestly, if this activity that we've been doing doesn't bring greater life to ourselves, I mean, I couldn't stop doing this kind of stuff. Even if tomorrow I woke up and I was in a different land, in a different country, didn't even know anybody, I would be itching to get involved in something like this, because it's the reason why we're here and want to continue to do this for everybody and for ourselves.
Absolutely, and the thing is, anyone can be part of this. It's an open source approach. We're developing it. We're tinkering with it. We're going to use it as much as we like. But anybody can use this system to promote themselves or businesses that they like or other people that they like. One of the things I'm really keen on doing is having a division which just focuses on bringing awareness to causes that we kind of are up for, or people who are leading causes, or people who are just doing cool stuff, as well as companies. And these people might not be in a position to pay us. They might want to do joint ventures or something. Fine, fair enough. But my way of looking at things is like, I feel like this is the universe saying to us, hey guys, you want to do some cool stuff. Here's the raw material with which you do it. It's kind of exactly perfect for the Reasonable Wealth program, and next week we're focusing on more than filling your current place, doing what you can right now. This is exactly what we can do right now. It's not like we have to wait. We can decide to put any individual, any company, anywhere in the world doing anything. We can elevate it to completely dominate the search results for any terms we like. So that force has to be used for good. In the wrong hands, that technology would be, well, I suppose in the wrong hands, at the end of the day, it wouldn't work, because Google wouldn't let it go all the way through, because it would realize that there's some shit going on there somewhere down the chain. But this is the thing. For good to happen, it has to be good all the way down the chain. For bad to happen, it only has to be bad at one link of the chain. Right?
Yeah.
So so anyway, so what we're doing is really good. And you know what? There will be a ton of companies. I spoke to a mate of mine today who coincidentally is the best friend of the marketing guy who is doing a similar kind of thing in England, but nothing like as cool, and it was kind of like, oh, we've got this info now, and we didn't tell you we were going to do it. You didn't ask us to do it, but we now know loads about your customers that you don't know, and kind of we're holding you to ransom for it. But the idea was still a neat idea. The idea of, don't you decide when you have a client. The client doesn't decide when, which is kind of reverse business. We just say, oh yeah, Gumroad, they're a cool company, they'll be one of our clients. Now, we're not going to wait until they start paying us for us to do the work, because we'd be doing the work anyway. Right? But I think, and he thought when we were talking to him about it, he goes, that's a good business. But you could do anything. Exactly. It's $1 billion business that we've basically conceived in a week. It's not us, just downloaded to us because we wanted to. Oh, how would it be good? You know what the daft thing is? We've known about this for months, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Literally since kind of January, when we started doing some of the Hangouts with Reasonable Eating, and we thought, well,
yeah,
this is really quite interesting.
Yeah, it was an outspring out of and what's really interesting, and we're going to archive this stuff too. It's not really relevant here, but what's interesting about the entire building of what I call the TC2 empire, which is Tom Cassidy 2.0, which is all this stuff that we've been doing this year, is none of it's really been planned beyond some intuitions to go do stuff. And I think that's going to be really fascinating to look back on too. Is there going to be some people who are like, how the hell, what happened here? Show me your business plan. Business plan? No, sorry.
We don't have a business. Why would we have a business plan?
We don't have a business plan. We don't have employees. We don't have any of that kind of stuff. So you can't really talk about it from that. But it's all perfectly intuition based. And this is one of those things where we were trying to find a solution to communicate to the most amount of people on the cheap and super easy. And there's lots of video conferencing aspects out there, and Hangouts just happened to have really come out. I think 2012-ish is when Hangouts really came out, but Google's been putting a ton of resources into them. In fact, there was an article a week or two ago that Google is putting a ton of more money into Hangouts because they want it to be the
business platform, don't they? Yeah.
They want it to be the business solution for teleconferencing. And that's an industry that has been dying to get off the ground for the longest time, and it just hasn't because it's incredibly complicated. And not only that, there's a lot of infrastructure resources and everything, but who better to do that than the 800-pound gorilla on the block, which is Google. But they're doing all this stuff, and we've literally built a very engaging business presence through and in and around all of this stuff, which is completely free, which really is greater life for all in a lot of ways too.
Well, exactly that. Google is about as close as you can get to a greater life for all business. They still have a competitive edge to them, of course, and they deal in advertising, which we think will disappear sooner or later. But the idea of them being able to provide ridiculous value in terms of communication to people. Now, Hangouts has been a bit of a spazzy, difficult to configure. It's not. When you think of things that work, you generally think of more or less. You think of Apple products. They just basically work and they're intuitive and they don't need any instructions. And anything that needs instructions these days is considered to be poorly designed. And Hangouts have been a little bit fiddly, and they've taken their time, but they're maturing into a great platform now. And who better to be in partnership with than Google? Really, we are helping them deliver value to the end user by making making their algorithms become more and more operable, because they can come up with these algorithms, but if search engine optimizers are still just putting keywords in all the time and then delivering them, it won't work. So what we're doing is we're saying we're going, what does the individual who's searching for this thing actually need as a solution, as an answer? And then we're trying to go, well, I reckon more often than not it's going to be a simple 1 to 2 minute video explaining how to do something, right? More or less, it'll be something like that.
Totally.
So it won't be someone trying to sign you up for something or to buy a product most of the time.
Yeah, and dude, this is the thing that really cracks me up the most about Tom is never once have you ever, and I don't think you ever will, hear him say, "This Tuesday, 20% off."
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because most of the communities I've certainly been involved in, or that any like Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins or any of these guys that I've kind of been into at times, they're constantly sending me crap on my email. Flash sale today, 10% off, and it just reeks of the competitive. I mean, it just the energy is just all wrong, and so that's one of the things that I've said to you, Tom, in private a lot, but I wanted to make sure that was out there. It's just it is amazing because it is eerily unusual the amount of self-promotion that comes out of comes from you, and I think it's a hallmark of not only your intention, but in just how big that your influence is going to be, because that's a really powerful. No one wants to be sold to. You know, people want to buy in badly. People want to buy into something they can believe in, and that really promotes that energy. So it's just.
I think so. I think it's it feels right to me, and it just feels completely wrong to advertise and promote. Now, actually, we're part of Udemy, and Udemy do promotions and kind of.
Sure. But that's an unconscious agent of you.
Yeah.
That is that's not you doing the kind of thing. So yeah, we'll I think what we'll do is bring this plane in for a landing around here, and we're going to do more of these sessions, because what we're actually going to get into is kind of like what turned into a hypothetical meeting between me and Tom has spiraled into an entire session, which is totally cool. It is what it is. But maybe even, Tom, tomorrow or something like that, we can do a little short burst about exactly the next action steps of how we're going to more than fill our place to bring greater reach to the individuals that we're looking to.
Yeah, I'm really excited, because for me and Sam, there's opportunity right now to do, well, what do we do? Oh, who do we like? Okay, yeah, Gumroad, let's do a bunch more videos for them. These architects, let's help them promote their, it's just so great, because anyone comes to us and says, yeah, I've got this idea for a parenting course. Brilliant, best parenting approach, or solution to any parenting problems. Well, yeah, we'll get you #1 in Google. How much are you going to charge me? Well, we kind of pay what you want to be part of the Tom's coaching program, really, and what? Well, okay, well, if we do a co-authored course together, we'll do a 50-50 split. If we do an app together where we're providing it, we'll do 50-50 split on the revenue. If you do your own thing, you can keep anything. As Sam said, a really nice expression, you can eat anything you kill, basically, which is really, really kind of nice. And that's what we want, a non-business. So you've got to have a non-business plan, or a non-business non-plan.
Yes. And here's one of the real relevant points to, even though it's a non-business, it's going to be ridiculously lucrative. And I think that's one of the important points, is that Greater Life for All doesn't just include clean drinking water and stuff to eat and all that kind of thing, but ridiculous abundant wealth, to where that definition varies for a lot of folks, and obviously varies in different cultures. But for me, it just means never, ever, 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 ever having to worry about money ever again. And not only that, but to the point to where I'm not going to go buy a Lamborghini on a Tuesday, but if I go to the grocery store, I can spend as much money as I care about, and I don't have to worry about anything. I can buy all organic stuff. I can do whatever I want, to where money's no longer a limiting factor in my self-consciousness about the kind of life that I want to live. And for me, that is absolutely Greater Life for All. And it's not a skyrocketed number either.
No.
But for me, it's something that the material wealth is something that sometimes you may feel guilty for wanting, or you may feel competitive for wanting. But in our present development as a culture, having a whole lot more money is a lot better than having not enough money.
Yeah, and I've done both, and I prefer having more money rather than less.
It's just like the other end of the spectrum. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. One final thing on that, Sam. So I'm going to let people know. I do have if it was a dream, it will start in 2015. I mean, my life is it's, you know, it's perfect as it could be. It really is, and I love it every single second of every day. Of course, I have my challenges, but I still appreciate and just love it. It's an amazing life. But in 2015, I'm going to start really doing some crazy stuff, like traveling to wherever the hell I like with my family and band, and playing a festival, and doing 3 nights in a, you know, playing in the band, and during the day just meeting with people, having cups of coffee, doing a seminar, doing a talk, getting people to try my apps, all that sort of stuff. And Sam and I, this is the thing. So like, you need kind of a bit of money to have your whole entourage, your family, and help with you, because you got to have time with your wife and not have to look after the kids all the time. So you need to be able to take your au pairs, or at least one au pair with you, right? And for me, it's all about people, and music are my big thing. So I want to be with people, inspiring them, sharing with them, listening to them, conceiving joint stuff with them, helping them, you know, communicate their genius to the world, and just playing some cool music, which I love all the time, and being with the family and traveling and meeting people and talking, and just like that's my dream. There's some aspects of that I couldn't do right now. I couldn't take my whole family with me and the other band members, and it not be, you know, kind of a, yeah, I'm not sure how long we can be on this tour and stuff like that. So, you know, I remember even Sting saying about how he started recording and releasing some records with some pop artists, because his daughters were just about to go to university and stuff, and that's quite expensive, you know. And so like, you know, we are us creative types that have the ability to kind of really earn as much money as they like. For me, it isn't stupid amounts of money more, but I'd kind of like to have to work probably only around about 5 to 10 days a month, and play in bands while I was working, doing seminars, workshops, anywhere in the world. And as Sam and I were joking just the other day, you know, hey, we got an email from a guy in Guatemala. He's got 10 people in the room on Tuesday afternoon. Should we go over and just, yes, let's do it.
Done.
What, do you want to bring your family? Yeah, I'll bring my family. Yeah, should we just go and we'll just do some sausage machine stuff, just talk to him about the script. Yeah, he's got some ideas. We'll take a translator along, you know. And that's what life is about. Just that vitality, that zest, that fun, that just awesome, let's just do some cool stuff. The Metaphysical Mayhem tour, we're calling it. They're starting in 2015, and you know, there's a few things that it will be easier to do if we've got more money rather than less. You know, even more than we've got coming in now. And I'd like Sam I'd like you not to have a job. Amen. I'd like not to do any consulting. At the moment, I probably am planning to do about a day a week next year. But if I went from a day a week to no days a week, that would be better. And, you know, that'd be cool. Because then you don't have to worry about, oh, so I know I said I'd do that for you, but I'm kind of, yeah, I'm in Philadelphia we got a gig. I know it's only a small venue. You know, there's only 40 people that are going to be there. But, you know, what the hell? Something I want to do. And, you know.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting, Tom, is that I think there are there's a couple of universals that cross cultural lines and all age groups and all levels of interest. And number one is growth, becoming more, becoming better. And number two is jazz.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have the trifecta there. So I can totally see that coming together. And I'm only half joking there, because we're dead serious about having like a world tour. And I think it'd be really cool. What I'm really fascinated and excited about is looking for like-minded ambassadors and cultures to where Tom and I could never get to. Not because we don't want to, not because we don't have the passion to. Maybe we don't have the language barrier is a big one there. Maybe the fact that we come from first world countries, and you know, there's certain characteristics about our bodies that wouldn't necessarily allow us to walk into a community and instantly grab hold of attention. But I'm really interested in getting some of this information translated into other languages. For example, just The Science of Getting Rich. Imagine just translating that one book into every single language of the world. I think it would provide an incredible amount of leverage, because once you read a book like that, if you're I don't know which if you are of the same ilk, it's going to light an incredible flame inside of you. And once that's lit, you never go back. It's like awareness. Once your awareness is raised to a certain level, there's no just going back on cruise control. It's impossible, because you know the possibilities that awareness brings into your life. And so when Tom was out for a minute, I was talking a little bit about how I would, before I really applied the big three into my life, I would read a book, get excited, and then just forget about it, go back to cruise control, and get excited and go back. Once you hit a certain level of awareness, there is no more trough in terms of not only your excitement, but your level of commitment to bringing your vision to be, because it's there's really no going back. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and this is kind of what we intended for something like this, is to speak out loud. And certainly the Metaphysical Mayhem Tour, which, by the way, sounds like a heavy metal punk rock band tour, just awesome. And so we're gonna need a lot of individuals who are excited about that too, because we plan on literally going into places where we're gonna need a translator. We're gonna be looking for architects in these cultures who have this pilot light inside of them of passion that is just dying to be awoken. And it doesn't matter what language you speak; it matters the intention you come from. And so, because underneath every single person, we're the exact same. In our essence, we are absolutely the exact same. The only reason why we feel separated and differentiated by cultures is because of a mass hallucination, which I won't get into right now. But it's not a bad thing. It's just it's perfect for its time. But I believe the time's coming to pull the veil off and begin to really live out loud for a lot higher consciousness.
Well, on just one thing, you said it there, but how about, let's get the Science to Get Rich translated into all these different languages. And what if there was kind of like a simplified version of the book, sort of available on a weekly basis, that could be like dripped or sent to individuals' phones in their own language?
Oh, you mean like an app?
Yeah. Well, wow, that would be quite. Do you think that'd be helpful? I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. And oh, wait a minute, we have one actually in production right now.
Yeah, we in fact, exactly right now, we've got a team working on it as we do this call.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Okay, buddy, you need to well, it's 3 a.m. here.
Whoa.
I have to do my videos. Let's close this, and then I'll have a quick chat with you about a couple of nitty-gritty things.
Fair enough.
About who does what. Yeah. But this has been great, hasn't it? Love it.
Yep. This is a kind of a long one, but get used to it. They're going to need a lot longer, and we'll begin to ping them out. But I just wanted to say to everybody who has watched this, or who now or in the future, or who is plugged in, get excited. Get really excited, because the future is just absolutely amazing. So let's create it together. Thanks, Tom. Have a great night.
No worries, buddy. Take care.